Richard also told me that when he originally arrived, I think he said he was in Way Fubai, or the big airport.
Yeah, Fubai.
Fubai. That he was originally, but it was getting rocketed really bad, and then they were sent, I don't know if it was north to Tet. So
Actually, no, he was with us. He was in Kuchi. We were at the air. They flew us out of the airfield at Kuchi during when Tet happened, and we flew north to Fubai. And that's near Way. That's very close to Way. I can't remember the distances, but I'd say within 10 miles of the city of Way. And Way was under assault by 2 North Vietnamese and 1 Viet Cong regiment. So there were probably about 12,000 enemy troops in Way at that time. And it was the early days of Tet. The Marines were in there trying to fight. Elements of the 101st gone up in there to help out too, but Marines carrying most of that fight.
You didn't see Richard up in that fight because you guys were
No, everybody was scattered. When Tet happened, the balloon went up everywhere, because everybody was engaged. The 2nd Brigade of the 101st Airborne, which Richard and I were part of, they deployed us north, and they put us under operational control of the 1st Cavalry Division. So we operated under the 1st Cav probably from mid-January, all the way until April, because we hadn't moved the division headquarters forward yet. Division headquarters was still down south. And when division headquarters came forward, they basically took command of all the 101st Brigades, which there were 3, and started controlling the operations of all 3 brigades.
What was your responsibility in Way, which would have been similar to Richard's? What were you guys exactly doing?
We were operating around the outskirts of the city of Way. We were trying to cut off escape routes for the North Vietnamese. Actually, a pretty large contingent of them escaped across the river. They blew the bridge. There was a big bridge that came out from the Citadel that went back over to like the mainland area. And North Vietnamese regiment wanted to use that to escape, and they got quite a number of them out and blew the bridge behind them, so that they figured Americans won't pursue. But we were pursuing, and we actually spent probably close to the next 30 days pursuing large North Vietnamese units that had come out of the Battle of Way and other cities, other towns around there. We got in a very big battle in the city of Hai Lang. And there was a North Vietnamese battalion actually in Hai Lang, and that was probably the first major battle that the 2nd Brigade engaged in. It actually was the 501st Airborne Infantry that engaged in it. We had a full battalion into there, and North Vietnamese had a full battalion in there.
When you were in Way, do you remember large casualties on your side, or was it?
Yeah, we were taking casualties every day, every night. When we first got to Vietnam, they gave us a briefing, and they said, well, you might see the enemy once every couple weeks or something like that. You may not see them for long periods of time. Well, I don't know if they were talking to the infantry specifically about that, but there wasn't as much activity at that time. If you go back into history, they'll tell you that we were reporting that we were winning the war and that it was almost over. Well, then the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong launched the Tet Offensive. Well, the Tet Offensive was intended to get the South Vietnamese to basically turn to the north and say, okay, we're going to rise up with you and rebel and throw these Americans out and take over. But that isn't what happened. What ended up happening is the Viet Cong got destroyed. And it was never really a major force after that again. It was mostly North Vietnamese fought that and local Viet Cong, but never main force Viet Cong again. But the casualties were high. And the reason the casualties were high was because there were so many North Vietnamese and Viet Cong around at that time. For that first 30 to 60 days after Tet, those big units were still around. They hadn't scattered yet. And so you were either contacting them or they were contacting you every day and every night. You had ambushes out every night. You had your ambush operations out there. Usually every company would put out at least 3 ambushes, sometimes 4 or 5 ambushes. So you had constant opportunities for contact. And very seldom did you go through a night at that time where you didn't make contact, because they were trying to move around. They were trying to escape. They're trying to get the hell out of Dodge. And they got all these American units chasing them. The 1st Cavalry and 101st Airborne up there, they weren't just up there to take their names down. We were out there to kill them. and we were very aggressive in our operations.